Shadow,
On
you
April
the
22nd,
mayor.
2021, Zac Efron appeared in Bill Nye's Earth Day special, and the world couldn't believe what they were seeing. He looked almost unrecognizable. His face, specifically his jaw, had grown significantly.
Damn, I didn't even peep how different bro looked, but he do look different as hell.
And he had this bloated, puffy appearance that he never had in the past. Zac carried on as normal, as if nothing was out of the ordinary. But after seeing this, people couldn't talk
Bro looked like a Snapchat filter.
about anything else. A big part of the reason everyone was so taken aback was because of the reputation Zac previously had. For the longest time, he was one of Hollywood's male beauty icons, and his good looks were a huge part of his appeal. He was on bedroom walls, the cover of magazines, and in the hearts of fans all around the world. So seeing him like that was genuinely shocking, and things only got more extreme from there. In the months following that Earth Day special, Zac's face retained that swollen, reconstructed look, but it was soon matched by a body bulked up to near cartoonish proportions. The lean, boyish charm that defined his High School Musical era, and even the shredded, beach-ready frame of his Baywatch days had vanished. In its place was a figure that looked more like a sculpted action hero, hyper-masculine, overbuilt, and oddly artificial. So the question is,
Yeah, fake as hell.
what on earth happened to him? Well, Zac offered an explanation, but the more you look at his transformation, especially in the lead up to his movie The Iron Claw, the more it starts to feel like that explanation might be covering up something else. Because if there's one thing Hollywood rewards, it's a body that sells, and Zac Efron may have sold his more than anyone ever realized.
Really? More than all these other people? Like, didn't they say like Kim K sold her body a lot? I don't know.
From a young age, Zac showed a clear passion and natural flair for the performing arts, and his parents were all in. They enrolled him in local theatre productions and singing lessons, helping him hone his skills early on. Before long, Zac was landing roles in community theatre, and soon after, a talent agency took notice. By 2006, while most kids his age were focused on finishing high school, Zac had already appeared in the TV movie Miracle Run, made guest appearances on shows like Firefly, and held a recurring role on Summerland.
Damn, nah, so he was going crazy like since he was a kid. Like, actually, he's been famous his whole life. Like, that's crazy. And it probably is a mindfuck.
At the time, acting wasn't even Zac's main goal. He'd worked hard to get good grades and planned to go on to college, but that all changed when he landed the lead role in what seemed at the time like a modest Disney Channel original movie, High School Musical.
A modest Disney Channel original movie. I'm weak. I mean, I don't know, bro. Like,
I was so ready for college, man. I worked so hard. I got good grades. I had a 4.3 when I left high school. So I probably would have gone on to be a doctor.
Little did he know that this small movie would become his breakout hit and change his entire life overnight. In High School Musical, Zac played Troy Bolton, a high school basketball star secretly passionate about singing. When the movie premiered in 2006, it pulled in nearly 8 million viewers and quickly became a teen sensation. The soundtrack, led by Zac and his co-star Vanessa Hudgens, was one of the top-selling albums in the US.
yeah, that was a major hit. If y'all don't know, High School Musical was actually like a major hit. Like, I was a kid when it came out, but literally, like, especially all the merch, the book bags, like, that shit was everywhere, bro.
Its standout track, Breaking Free, shot to number 4 on the Billboard Hot 100, giving Zac his first major music milestone. Disney doubled down on the High School Musical craze, releasing 2 sequels that each pulled in bigger numbers than the last. By the time the third film hit theaters in 2008, it wasn't just a hit, it was a phenomenon.
Nah, it was a cultural phenomenon, like you said, yeah. If you probably under a rock if you don't know about High School Musical. Let me keep the video going.
And Zac was at the center of it all. He was everywhere, on magazine covers, posters, red carpets, you name it. To millions of teenage fans, he wasn't just an actor, he was the teen idol of the era. Everywhere he went, he was swarmed by screaming fans, captivated by his looks, charm, and boy-next-door appeal. But the very thing that made him famous was also starting to box him in. In 2007, Zac starred in Hairspray, a musical set in the 1960s about a teen who dreams of dancing on a popular TV show while standing up against racial segregation. He played Link Larkin, a popular singer with a slick Elvis vibe and a
I was about to say, he was Elvis? I didn't know about this movie.
heart of gold. On the surface, the film felt a bit different to High School Musical. Director Adam Shankman even had some initial hesitation about casting Zac because he wondered whether his Disney image might clash with the film's more serious undertones. However, the promise of capturing a massive teen audience sealed the deal. Zac got the part, and the movie became another commercial win. But in reality, his character was just another version of Troy Bolton. The time period and styling were different, but the core of the role, the heartthrob with the wholesome edge, was exactly the same. As far
Okay, so I know we're still early in the video, but I'm still kind of confused on how that's a bad thing. You know, he's using his previously built image to create more success. Like, I know it gets tiring at some point, but I mean, damn, bro, like, you can't pick and choose everything. Like, if, you know, people want to see that, then just do that for a little bit. I don't know.
As far as Hollywood was concerned, there was no need to change what was already selling, so this became the cycle. Slightly different films, slightly different characters, but always orbiting the same image. Take 17 again, for example. Zac played the younger version of a 37-year-old dad who magically transforms back into his teenage body. The movie had no songs, but the rest was familiar. High school hallways, a flashy car, and the same effortless cool that made him famous. By this point, Zac was starting to express that he wanted more. In interviews, he talked about seeking new challenges and stepping out of the teen heartthrob box, but the industry wasn't ready to see him any other way.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. And he's getting older now at this point. Like, you feel me? You probably don't even want to do that shit no more. So I kind of feel it, but I don't know, gang. Like, I feel like once you reach a certain level of success, like, you feel me? Like, how much more can you really want for real? Like, what's that one clip? Sneeko was like, oh, you know, no, what'd he say, bruh? I forgot. But yeah, always wanting more kind of gets dangerous, bro, when you don't learn how to just chill the fuck out.
The team behind 17 again had sold him on the idea that the movie was a step forward for his career, but people were treating him exactly the same way. Instead of focusing on his acting skills, interviewers would constantly bring up his body, hair, or looks.
I know that a lot of ladies have crushes on you, and when we were watching the movie, and I don't get like this either. Like, I'm not like, oh my god, I love Brad Pitt, oh my god, I love this person. It's not me. I never had a poster of a guy on my wall. I never, like, I had pictures of animals on my wall in high school. Like, I never was like, oh my god, I think he's so hot. You are, though.
Oh, wow, thank you.
And when you took off your shirt in the movie.
I'm weak as fuck, bro. She just did all that shit about how she don't do that, and it just did that. I'm weak as fuck. Bro, y'all's not real people.
Everybody was like gasping. All the women in the audience started gasping, and I started laughing. I'm like, okay, I agree this time.
That's hilarious. Thank you.
Another interviewer was just openly flirting with him on camera.
You are,
Oh my god, his life is so hard. People are attracted to him. Oh my god, how is he gonna survive? I get what he's trying to say, right? Especially with him getting older, it's like, damn, bro, like, you don't want to keep doing that same, like, you know, teenage image, you know, heartthrob type shit. But at the same time, I'm like, gang, I don't know. There's more pressing problems.
quite stunning in real life, I must say.
Thank you.
That sounds really odd. Very odd, but the guys
I'm weak as fuck. She is going.
back home, they said to me, oh, you've got to flirt with Zac Efron and everything, and I'm like, God, I'm like 10 years older than him.
What the fuck?
A bit older than him.
Niggas do not be a king. Such a known and bucket fan. Niggas do not be a king. Yo, what the fuck going on? Agent 66, how you doing, son? Just here reacting to these YouTube videos. This one's about how Zac Efron sold his body to Hollywood. I'm like, damn. Fortnite Gamer on YouTube was good.
And you haven't seen 17 again, obviously.
Yeah.
Even simple questions always came back to his looks.
How do you keep your hair looking so great all the time?
That's kind of like a compliment almost. Thank you.
This kind of feels like that that Justin Bieber clip that was going around, or the clips of him when he was like younger and people was like, you know, like just pressing him.
The time Zac was asked about his career and where he saw himself going, he was met with skepticism and doubt.
So is there a part of you that thinks, well, this is great and this is wonderful and I love it, but I've really got to, you know, be able to do other things, like not to be just part of this one particular kind of idea in people's minds?
Yes, absolutely. That's very important to me. Earlier in the year, before we filmed High School Musical, I was able to do 2 other movies. One's called 17 Again, and that's a family comedy, non-musical. And then
High school.
Yeah, to me, I don't know. I kind of see it as like genres, like in music, right? Like, let's say you're an artist and you're making country songs or whatever, and then you sign to a label and they're like, oh, actually, we want you to make hip hop. Like, okay, suck it up, make hip hop music and go chill in your house. You feel me, or something like, I don't know.
well, in a way.
Deep down, Zac knew the interviewer was right, and in the years following, he started making more deliberate choices to secure the right roles. He turned down Footloose, a remake of an 80s musical, because he felt the role was too similar to Troy Bolton and Link Larkin.
You know what? It was nothing against the project. I think Footloose will make a fantastic movie, but I'm looking for a new challenge.
It was clear Zac wanted to be taken seriously, but the real question was whether Hollywood would actually give him the chance. He finally got the opportunity to prove he was more than just a teen idol in his—
Yeah, I was about to say, like, obviously Hollywood gave him a chance, bro. Like, You feel me? It's not like he's a struggling actor, guys.
His next 2 films. In 2010, he starred in Charlie St. Cloud, playing a young man grieving the tragic loss of his little brother. Then came The Lucky One, where Zac played Logan Thibault, a US Marine who survives war and becomes convinced a photo that he found during combat brought him luck. These films marked a noticeable shift. They weren't teen musicals or high school dramas. They were more grounded, adult stories with heavier emotional themes. And for the first time, Zac wasn't just playing the heartthrob. He was taking risks and showing a new side of himself.
I love whatever I'm doing. I think as long as I'm learning something new, you know, as long as I'm growing or stretching, I don't know. I love taking roles where there's an element of risk involved, and you know, playing a Marine was a part you kind of have to do. You have to get just right.
For The Lucky One, he trained with real Navy SEALs and packed on around 20 pounds of muscle, going from the slim Disney kid to a more grown, physical guy.
I trained every day with a Navy SEAL, and it was a pretty grueling training process. And then on top of that, just had to eat a ton of calories, all healthy calories.
But despite pouring more emotion and discipline into his roles, Hollywood didn't seem to take Zac seriously.
Says who?
For those films, he didn't get the recognition he hoped for from big award shows like the Oscars or Golden Globes. Instead, it came from the Teen Choice Awards, an annual show voted on by kids aged 13 and over. For his performance in The Lucky One, Zac won 2 Teen Choice Awards and 1 People's Choice Award.
And your choice movie actor drama is...
Despite taking on risks to evolve as an actor, it was clear the industry still saw him the same way. Over time, Zac seemed to accept that if Hollywood wasn't going to recognize his acting skills, maybe his appearance could open doors. After the attention his physical transformation received in The Lucky One, he decided to try and embrace it. The muscles, the more mature image, it all became a part of the new Zac Efron. He went on to star in films like The Paperboy and That Awkward Moment, both of which had a common thread. Zac was sexualized, with his image often speaking louder than his acting. In The Paperboy, for example, his character Jack uses his physical appeal to increase attention with Nicole Kidman's character Charlotte. He spends much of the film shirtless, drenched in rain or sweat, with the camera focused on one thing and one thing only: his body. A review by The Guardian summed it up perfectly, saying, "Efron is cast first and foremost as an object of beauty, exploited by the camera in ways hard-boiled genre films tend to reserve for women. At one point, he strips down to white briefs to dance with a fully clothed Kidman in the rain. In That Awkward Moment, Zac teamed up with Miles Teller and Michael B. Jordan to play 3 friends who make a pact to avoid relationships and pursue casual flings. Zac's shirtless
Really? I've never even seen this movie or heard of it.
scenes were the movie's main selling point, and it was no secret. Reviews of the film couldn't ignore the glaring focus on his body, with one saying, "And for those who are interested, nearly all of Efron is on display." Same goes for Jordan and Teller, but let's face it, on the disrobing front, Efron is the top liner. During an appearance on Ellen, the conversation quickly turned to how much skin he showed in the movie.
Can we just show this one hilarious scene, and you'll see why he's like this when you see the movie. But there's a photo of you needing to use the restroom, and
Nah, Ellen is crazy. I'm glad they canceled it. I'm glad they canceled her show.
Was nominated for Best Shirtless Performance, and he made a deal with his fans on Twitter ahead of the event, saying, "If I beat Thor, I'm accepting the award shirtless on stage." When the night came, he ended up winning.
How you doing? Wow, thank you.
After he thanked the crowd, the singer Rita Ora, who was one of the presenters, walked up behind him and pulled his shirt off.
Thank you so much to my fans.
Yeah, that is kind of crazy though. I'm not gonna lie. Like, imagine if a guy did that to a girl. But you know, let's keep it going.
For the next few days, pictures and videos of that moment were everywhere. The overt use of his physique to sell tickets didn't stop there, as it happened again just a little later that year with his movie Neighbours. The film was a raunchy, R-rated comedy that allowed him to show off his comedic chops, but at its core, it was still about his body. It centered on Zac's character Teddy Sanders, the leader of a college frat who's full of charm, good looks, and swagger. A young couple played by Seth Rogen and Rose Byrne move in next door to the frat house, leading to an escalating war between both sides. While Teddy wasn't the typical leading man of Zac's past roles, the film still used his physique as a major selling point, with plenty of shirtless scenes and plenty of jokes about his attractiveness. So even though he had more interesting material to work with, he was still sold as the guy everyone wants to look at.
You're shirtless in a lot of the movie. Yeah. But I heard Seth was making you take your shirt off for no reason.
Yeah, I know, like constantly. He would say just Zach's shirt off for the scene, and I'd be like, okay, yes sir.
Commercially, Neighbors was a hit. The film grossed over $270 million worldwide.
About to say, okay, so when is it gonna start going left? Because right now it seems like he's just kind of like complaining. Like, nigga, if you don't sell them tickets, you feel me? All you gotta do is stand there. It just be there.
Proving Zac's ability to bring in the box office numbers. But it was also the moment his image as the hot shirtless guy truly stuck, and Hollywood didn't want to see him as anything else. Zac seemed to embrace it, pushing aside his earlier ambitions for more dramatic and meaningful roles to capitalize on what was working. But even though he was finding success, it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows. You see, around that time, Zac began seriously struggling with substance abuse issues. Although he appeared to be doing well on the surface, the pressures of his fame were getting to him. Like many celebrities do, he found himself turning to alcohol and cocaine to cope. At first, he started using substances as a social lubricant, a way to handle the constant scrutiny and public attention, but it quickly evolved into something he couldn't control. He was missing days on set, turning up to shoots hungover, and spiraling deeper and deeper into an addiction. Thankfully, he did something about it fast, checking himself into rehab and getting the help he needed. However, not long after—
That's good. Yeah, at least he went to rehab. And two, it must be hard, like with having unlimited access, basically, like to still kind of put a limit on yourself. So shout out, bro. It's tough.
After he relapsed and began drinking again. The public had no idea as he kept it all under wraps, but his friends and family were seriously worried. He ended up going back to rehab for a second time and getting clean for good. And 6 months later, he was spotted in the crowd at a Lakers game wearing a 6-month sobriety chip. It was a dark period in his life, but he kicked the habit quickly. However, his drug usage would begin again a few years later, just in
Fuck! Again?
a different form. After the success of Neighbors, Zac starred in 2 films where his body was once again front and center. We Are Your Friends in 2015 and then Dirty Grandpa in 2016. In Dirty Grandpa, he starred alongside Robert De Niro, playing a lawyer tasked with driving his recently widowed grandfather to Florida. But instead of a sweet bonding trip, it turns into a wild, raunchy spring break adventure. The movie is filled with lots of shirtless workouts, beach scenes, and parties. And even though Zac's character is meant to be the uptight, nerdy type, his shirt comes off at every opportunity. The film flopped, earning just a 10% rating on Rotten Tomatoes, and some critics described it as the worst movie they've ever seen.
That's the worst movie they've ever seen. This shit not working no more.
A fate that wasn't all too surprising, given it was yet another surface level role that relied heavily on Zac's appearance. By this point, it wasn't just critics speaking up, fans were starting to notice too. Zac was becoming a caricature of himself, someone who kept getting hired to take his shirt off and flex over and over again. And the situation reached a boiling point with his role in Baywatch, where the obsessive focus on his looks went from pigeonholing his career to taking a serious toll on his health. In Baywatch, Zac played Matt Brody, a disgraced Olympian and hothead with a knack for clashing with everyone. For nearly half the film, he and his co-star Dwayne Johnson were locked in a flex-off, competing in all kinds of over-the-top strength challenges. You can see Zac's body was absolutely shredded. He looked ripped in his previous roles, but this was another level. He claimed that to achieve that, he had to put his body through hell, going through an intense training process and following a strict, clean diet.
For most roles, you change.
Yeah, nah, that makes sense. And that's what a lot of actors usually have to do when they're getting these specific roles. They really got to change their body for real. I wish I knew how he did that shit.
Something. But I think probably the one role that I had to change the most for was probably Baywatch. In that movie, I adopted a really, really specific eating regimen. Clean fish or meat with sweet potatoes, like that. I just did that the entire film. So that was the most extreme I had ever gone. I think I was in ketosis that entire film.
Even after completely transforming into the superhuman version of himself, Baywatch didn't give Zac the payoff he'd hoped for. It didn't perform all that well at the box office, and as is becoming the theme, critics laid into him for his performance. It was so bad that he was nominated for a Razzie Award for Worst Actor in 2018. But
that's so messed up.
The true cost wasn't just in the reviews. It was in the toll that pushing his body this far took on his health. A few years after the movie was released, Zac admitted he'd been taking diuretics to stay that lean, which messed him up badly. The drug reduces water retention and enhances muscle definition, but at a steep cost. He ended up battling insomnia and even slipped into depression, and it took him 6 months after getting off the drugs just to start feeling normal again. In his Hot Ones interview, he opened up about the whole experience, admitting that while he was proud of the results, he would never want to get in that kind of shape again.
I realized that, like, when I was done with that movie, I don't ever want to be in that good of shape again. Really. It's like, it was so hard.
I mean, that good of shape, if you have to take these pills that are almost gonna kill you, like, it's probably not even worth it, bro. Just do it naturally, you know what I mean? But you can't for these movie roles, which sucks, but...
You're working with almost no wiggle room, right? You've got things like water under your skin that you're worrying about, like making your 6-pack into a 4-pack, shit like that. That's just like not, it's just stupid.
Yeah.
You know, it's just not real. And like, I'm happy that it worked. I'm happy that it got me through it. I may do it again if it was something worthwhile, but we'll wait till it gets to that. I don't need.
Yeah, he's tripping.
I'm good. Take care of your heart, take care of your brain. You're good.
He seemed uncomfortable with how much attention that version of him got, and when he saw the wax figure of his Baywatch body, he made it clear it isn't something to idolize.
That's too big, and don't try and get for guys. That's unrealistic. I'm telling you. Like I got very big and buff for that movie, but I don't want people to think that's the best way to be. Like, be your size. Like, don't.
Yeah.
It's not.
Even the guy that did it is telling you to be normal and be natural. Like, isn't that crazy?
Like, I don't want to glamorize this.
Following the whole health scare from Baywatch, Zac wanted a reset. After years of roles that leaned on his physique, he decided to return to his roots, movie musicals. He starred alongside Hugh Jackman in The Greatest Showman, a biographical musical about P.T. Barnum and his famous circus from the late 19th century. In the film, Zac played Philip Carlyle, P.T. Barnum's business partner and a performer in his own right. He sang, danced, and brought a surprising sense of wit and emotional depth to the role. It was a full circle moment with him finally back in a musical, but this time as an adult performer commanding the screen. While The Greatest Showman still showcased Zac's charm and attractiveness, his character wasn't defined by his body. Instead, he portrayed a romantic, emotional figure, something fans hadn't seen from him in a long time. The movie was a hit, grossing $430.
Okay, yeah, so it's just the right movie in the right role, bro. That's all it is.
$84 million on a budget of $84 million, and winning several awards, including a Grammy. Finally, Zac was being recognized for his talent, not just his looks. Then, in 2019, he took a sharp left turn. He starred in Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Evil and Vile, playing the infamous serial killer Ted Bundy. The role was
bro, all these movies I've never heard of. Like, what the fuck? I would have fucked with, like, you know, a Zac Efron movie where he used Ted Bundy. Like, what the fuck?
Controversial, with some feeling the movie romanticized Bundy's crimes and disrespected his victims by not showing the crimes themselves. But while the film drew backlash, Zac's performance didn't. Critics and fans agreed he embodied Bundy's charm and good looks with unsettling ease, making it believable that someone so outwardly likable could hide something so dark. After this movie, Zac switched things up with a Netflix travel and lifestyle show called Down to Earth. The show featured he and his buddy Darren Orlean traveling the world, exploring cool ways to live healthier and more eco-friendly. They visited places like Iceland, France, Costa Rica, and London, learning about sustainable living and different cultures along the way. The show dropped in June 2020 during the pandemic, and it became a go-to for many, offering chill vibes and helpful tips on how to live better.
We need to start rethinking how we can.
And to be honest, I think the more, like, let me not say the more random, but the more spread out you are as far as genres and what you're doing as far as content, movies, anything like that, to be honest, I would argue the better, because you don't want people to trap you into a box for real. Like, even with me, like, I'm starting with the reaction content, but it's not going to be like this forever. I'm obviously going to move to other forms of content, but this is just what I'm doing right now. Feel me? So just think of it like that.
Consume everything from our food to our power.
Whoa, look at that. That's Mother Earth. Dude, that's some power.
After that first season, Zac started gaining new fans. People liked how down-to-earth he came across. Gone was a super polished, almost cardboard cutout look he'd had for years, and in its place we saw a more rugged, authentic version of him. But just when people started getting used to this new, laid-back version of Zac, something completely unexpected happened.
A big-budget Broadway musical spectacular? Bill.
I'm saying, his face look weird as hell. Do it not? That shit look weird.
Wow. I mean, I knew you were smart, but I think you're a genius.
In April 2021, Zac appeared in the Facebook Earth Day special alongside Bill Nye, and fans immediately noticed something was off. His face looked different. His jawline was thicker, more squared off, and unnaturally defined. His face also looked puffy and bloated in a way it never had in the past. Within hours, the internet lit up with speculation. Many joked he looked like handsome Squidward. Others
Handsome Squidward, y'all gotta chill.
Said that he resembled Lord Farquaad, and some even compared him to The Weeknd's exaggerated plastic surgery look in Save Your Tears. The memes spread fast, and so did the rumors. Everyone had a theory, and the most popular one, plastic surgery. There was no explanation from Zac, just silence, so the speculation only grew. If you googled his name that week, nearly every headline was about his face. Even his mum reportedly called him to ask if he'd had work done, and to be fair, the public suspicion wasn't based.
I'm weak. He looks nothing like his parents.
Zac had a well-known track record of pushing his body to extremes for roles, so the idea that he might have turned to cosmetic enhancements didn't seem far-fetched.
Bruh, he looks completely different. What the fuck?
More than a year later, he finally addressed the rumors in an interview with Men's Health, giving a full explanation. According to Zac, the change had nothing to do with plastic surgery. He said that back in 2013, he was running through his house in socks, slipped, and smashed his chin on the granite corner of a fountain. He blacked out, and when he came to, his chin bone was hanging off his face. Doctors wired his jaw shut, and he spent 6 weeks on a liquid diet. But he said the real change in his appearance didn't happen back then. It happened years later, after he stopped doing physical therapy. During recovery, he'd been working with a specialist to help retrain the muscles in his face. But when he took a break from therapy, his masseter muscles, the ones at the back of the jaw that help you chew, started to overcompensate. They grew larger, and that, he said, is what made his jaw look so different in 2021.
I don't believe that.
He was gonna get plastic surgery. He wouldn't get that. Come on.
You got a good job, man.
Yeah.
Oh my god. You're just stirring the pot.
No, it was funny. It sucked. I almost died, but we're good.
This moment showed just how much things changed after his transformation. Years earlier, people adored his looks, but now they were mocking them. And
oh my god, dang, bro, that's crazy. No, I can actually empathize and be like, damn, bro, if this happened to me, I'd be mad as hell. I'd be mad as fuck. Everyone's like, love me because of my looks or whatever. Then I fall down, mess up my face. Now everyone's just mad. Yeah, I'd probably go back to the cocaine too.
And the sad part, he wasn't chasing vanity, he was just trying to recover, or at least that's what he led us to believe. But when behind the scenes photos from the Iron Claw surfaced, a new theory started to gain traction, one that had nothing to do with an old injury. To play pro wrestler Kevin Von Erich, Zac underwent a dramatic physical transformation, even by his standards. He packed on more muscle than ever before. His chest was thicker, his shoulders broader, and his arms looked like they belonged to someone who lived in the gym. His frame changed completely, taking on that exaggerated, bulky look you'd expect from a bodybuilder. And once the movie hit screens, the conversation shifted. It was no longer just what happened to his jaw. It became, how did he bulk up like that? That's when the PED rumors started. Gaining lean muscle tissue gets harder the more you already have, and Zac wasn't starting from scratch. He was already in great shape, but the version of him we saw in the Iron Claw looked like something else entirely. Naturally, people started asking questions, because they'd seen this kind of transformation before. Just look at Conor McGregor, whose head and muscle mass ballooned seemingly overnight in 2021, triggering steroid speculation. Or Kumail Nanjiani.
It's never that deep, guys. Just calm the hell down.
Whose jump from comedy star to Marvel superhero came with a visibly bulkier face and larger jaw. There are numerous celebrity transformations just like this, and Zac became the newest on the list. Some fans noticed something else about him too, what looked like a bubble gut, a distended, bloated stomach often associated with HGH use. This drug doesn't just grow muscle, it can disrupt proportions, alter digestion, and even change facial structure. And again, it isn't a stretch to believe Zac took it. He already admitted to using performance-enhancing methods
Yeah, and like you said earlier, he's known to do whatever to land these roles. Dang, bro, that's crazy. Hopefully he survives.
Achieve his Baywatch body. So maybe whatever he took to build his frame for the Iron Claw was the same thing that altered his face. The frustrating part for Zac was that even after delivering one of the best performances of his career in that movie, the conversation still revolved around his body. It seems no matter how much he changes, the roles, the physique, the commitment, the story stays the same. The industry still sees him as an image first, an actor second. It happened again in his most recent movie, A Family Affair, and it will most likely continue to happen. But the truth is, in many ways, ways he hasn't helped himself. He's played the game, leaned into the image, and chased transformations that have kept the spotlight on how he looks, not what he can do. We saw some glimpses of the career he could have had, but ultimately, the conversation around him has always wound up back in the same place. And that's the trap. When your looks have been your currency for so long, at some point, it becomes hard for people to see anything else.
Yeah. Does he have like body dysmorphia issues and stuff? Probably. But at the end of the day, bro, you're still rich. Like, you know, you're still doing whatever. Like, I think he'll survive.